It has been quite some time since I touched this Ludwig kit that was donated to one of my schools. And a few of you have already left comments asking when I was going to release a part 2. Well, this entire restoration got shelved, and it's because the school that it was donated to decided to go in a different direction. Rather than putting this drum set in the auditorium, they went the electronic drum set route. Hold off for a second, don't cringe just yet. The auditorium is really big, was probably built in the 1950s, and has no sound treatment to it, so it doesn't matter the dynamic level, the drums are always overpowering everything else in that space. But if you've checked any video on the channel and looked carefully, there may have been from time to time where you can see the shells all nested together somewhere in the frame. And quite frankly, I shouldn't be holding on to them. They should be rebuilt and put back together. So let's dive in to part 2 of this restoration. All right, so here is all of the hardware for the two toms. It already sat in a bath of warm water and just a little bit of Blue Dawn to get as much off. And just to show you one of the lugs, it came out really well, even though we can take it a bit further. The biggest issue are these hoops, and what I noticed is some of them in particular, especially the 16-inch one, the chrome started coming off in certain spots, and that's not because of the fact that they're poorly plated, but because the previous owner of these hoops had a bunch of duct tape on them. Like, for example, right over here you can kind of see it a little bit. Who knows how long that duct tape has been sitting on these hoops. So of course this one is the top hoop that had a ton of that duct tape on it. So you can see when the camera focuses, there's a bunch of stuff that is stuck to it. Doesn't look too bad. Like, here's an example. Right up here where my finger is, that's not residue from tape, that is the chrome came off. The only solution that you actually have is to re-chrome it, and these hoops, they don't really cost that much. So the cheapest and most affordable option would be just to replace the hoop altogether. I'm not going to replace the hoops, I'm going to clean them up the best that I can. You can even see on this hoop that there is some rust as well. So I will go through the process of cleaning that off the best of my abilities. The first thing I want to do is wipe down those lugs a bit further. So like I said, they came out really well, except let's take it one step further and use some Eagle One Never Dull to polish them up. That way we can get them to look even better than they currently do. So just like every other restoration video, especially with hardware, it's pretty straightforward. You take the weighting polish here, just get a small amount or this much, and you just wipe down the lug with it. And that's going to help get rid of anything that water and Blue Dawn couldn't, especially anything that's really caked on there. The main points that you are looking to clean with this weighting polish are any of the grooves that are within the lug and the top part of the lug where the receiver tube goes in, because when this is all assembled and put back into place, it's pretty small spacing in there, so it's hard to maybe get a cloth to wipe the lug down, or if you are cleaning off your drum, it may be a little bit difficult to get that area. So when it's apart, you really want to focus on that, because that's kind of the key spots where everything will start to really cake up and you won't be able to remove it. Let's grab another. So here's a lug that I did not wipe. Here's the one that I just did. So if you take a look here, and even the top, here's the one that I haven't wiped down. It doesn't look too bad, but if you look particularly, there we go, when I get the light, you can see there's some specks, especially along the edge right here. Whereas this one, let me turn it around so you guys get that same look, same angle. That's a big difference. And all that was that little bit of time that you just saw me wipe this lug down. So I'm going to go through the process of wiping every one of those lugs down the same way that I just did here, and I'll come right back. So I just finished polishing up the lugs as well as the tension rods for the drums, and they came out really well. I put all of the foam pieces, which these don't really do much, to be honest with you, and all of the springs. So what I want to do is I want to get some shop rags, and these are just generic microfiber towels. I got these on clearance at Home Depot for
pretty affordable price. And I can take one of these, possibly two of them, and I'm gonna wrap all of the springs with it. This is just gonna help me pack the lugs and get rid of some of that rattling sound that you might get from older Ludwig drums, because this foam just would usually sit between the spring and the casing of the lug on the inside right here. Doesn't really do much. So if I wrap the whole thing like so, I can cut it, wrap it, and then put it all back into place. That's just going to eliminate any of those sounds altogether. So all of this right here, which is not needed, can be thrown away. Get a pair of scissors, and we can start this process. All right, so 13-inch tom, everything is packed like you see there. Receiver tube still catches, spring still stays in place, everything is fine. That'll prevent rattle that occurs with these older lugs from Ludwig. So since I did all of the 13s, the next step is to just put everything back in a bag. Lugs in total for this drum, 8 on the top, 8 on the bottom, which means that I need 32 screws. So those go in there. I also need 3 locking nuts. So all of the hardware for the 13 is in here now. Here's the bracket, so that can be put aside. 16, so 16 tension rods. Because I did the 12 and the 13 at the same time, this is why I have some additional receiver tubes and 1 extra screw, because it goes along with the 12-inch, which is all over here. So here's that next step. Once again, lugs polished, done, and have to get the springs out of the bag, just like we did the other. So once again, here's another bag identified for the 12. Here is the gasket. Let's get rid of all of this because there is no need for it anymore. Let's start packing some lugs. Cool, so all of the lugs are now packed just like the other ones. So put all 16 of them back in the bag, along with their mounting screws, the 16 tension rods that we have over here, along with the 3 mounting screws for the tom bracket. So now that all of that is done, let's go ahead and focus on these hoops here. Now the 16s I'm going to put aside, but the 12 and the 13 right here came out really well in that water and Blue Dawn solution, because the previous owner wasn't taping stuff to the 12 and the 13 like they were doing on that 16-inch drum. So just like the previous restoration videos, I'm going to apply a little bit of Brasso to this microfiber towel. There's a good amount that just came out there. You don't need that much, but if it does, it's not going to really hurt anything. Making sure with a triple flange hoop that you are coating everything, trying to get under different crevices and creases, all that kind of stuff. If you notice that there is a spot where something is really caked up, like case in point right around there, you can see there's some stuff. You want to just give a little more time, apply just a little bit of elbow grease using the microfiber towel to try and break some of that up. It may take a little bit of extra time. It's totally worth it, because you can see it's now all gone. So, and once you do that, same thing on the outside. Just go around and really try and find some of those areas that may not be the greatest. Might have to spend a little more time just to get rid of some of that excess that's on there. As always, you can get a clean or different towel that you didn't just apply Brasso to. Wipe down the hoop. So I'm going to do that process on all of these hoops, the rest of the hoops for the 2 rack toms, so this additional 12 and the 2 13s, and I'll be right back. All right, so just wrapped up. Here is one of the 13-inch toms, so that's clean. Here's the other one. And the 2 12s, 12-inch here. And the last one, right here. So you'll see that there's a little bit of maybe residue or some spots on the hoops. As you're cleaning the drums, remember, you're using a different microfiber towel to wipe off any excess, but since I have gloves on, there's going to be some chemical on the gloves, so anything I touch you're going to see. This is something where you just go back once everything's put together and just do like a final wipe down just to make sure all of it's taken care of. But now all of the hardware for the 12 and the 13 are done, cleaned, put together. So let's head over to getting these shells taken care of. All right, so here we have the 12 and the 13, and just looking at the 12, especially down there, you have some stuff. All in all, they're not in that bad a shape. Here's the 13. 13 looks a whole lot better. I have a feeling that this previous owner may have kept the 13 in a case. Probably didn't play it that often. Just had the kit set up with the 12 rack tom and a 16-inch floor tom. That would also make sense because the tom arm was missing for the 13-inch drum. Same process like I always do. Take a towel that has Blue Dawn applied to it and water and just wipe the shell down. This is gonna help get rid of most, especially like stuff like that. Just get rid of all of it. Stuff on the bottom's coming right up. Sometimes, especially with drums that are in this condition, you don't need to go too crazy. Maybe with certain spots, if you can't get it off with water and Blue Dawn, like maybe this stuff up here, which isn't coming off, this is going to get the majority of everything off of that drum for you. And then you just take the towel that just has water, wipe it down to get rid of some of the soap. And then once you do that, get some clean towels that are dry and wipe the drum off. This will allow you to also inspect, look for some of those spots where you can see here, some of that residue isn't coming off. So you are gonna have to use something that might be a little bit stronger, like Goo Gone, Goof Off. It's all kind of the same stuff at the end of the day, just different brands. Always try to just spray a clean towel first with it, then go over that area and see if I can get it off. If that doesn't work, then I'll try spraying the shell directly. A little bit of elbow grease and some time, sometimes a lot of time, you can get rid of some of that stuff. So that is coming off, just needs a little bit more elbow grease. So all of the stuff has now been removed from the shell. It's in good shape. Do the same thing with the 13 here. So grabbing that towel that had the Blue Dawn and water, just wiping the shell down. And this drum's in really good shape. There's a couple spots there, but now that shell is also clean and ready to go. So my favorite, like I said, applying some kind of a wax applicant to it. So just a spray cleaner wax. This is the best because it is a built-in cleaner and a wax all in one, so you don't have to worry about doing anything. And you just spray it on the shell. Since I have these shop towels, we're gonna use them to wipe the excess wax off, just like a car. And if you feel that whatever cloth you're using is starting to get wet, just like when you're detailing a car, flip it. Get to a spot where it's dry and then continue. This will help make sure that all of that excess is getting picked up by whatever cloth you're using rather than just smearing it all over the drum. So now that shell is cleaned. It has a coat of wax on it as well, and it's smooth to the touch. So let's do the same thing to the 12. Once again, just applying a little bit of wax. You can take that same microfiber that I used, making sure that you have a surface area that's dry and wiping off all of the excess wax. All right, so there's another one done. You can even see a little bit of the reflection from the light ring that I have to light up this area. So both of those are done. Let's go ahead and grab the 16. Every shell will be cleaned, polished, and ready for assembly. All right, so back with the 16-inch floor tom. Here's something that I find really surprising. If I turn the shell over, this shell is a lot thicker than any of the other shells. And the things that I read online are showing that the rack toms are supposed to be a thinner shell. I think they are a 4 or 5 ply. And then the floor tom and I believe the bass drum are supposed to be thicker plies. That would make sense. If I look at this, it's hard to see, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like it's a 6 ply shell. Not sure. But if you have maybe some information on this era and you know, feel free to leave that in the comment section, because once again, I don't like to misinform people. So if you are aware, please feel free to leave that in the comment section below to let us all know. So just like all the other shells, I'm gonna go around, wipe down these drums. And once again, some of those like tricky spots, you can use a little bit of elbow grease. It eventually will come off. So drum is now wiped down, so let's go ahead and apply the wax cleaner and grab that microfiber once again. And if you need to grab a new one, grab a new one. No big deal. I'm gonna grab another one just because I know that there's nothing on it and wipe the whole thing down. So now every shell has been cleaned. All of the hardware except for the hardware for this 16-inch has been done as well, cleaned and polished. So once I finish that, the final step is to put them all together. Almost there. Now, like I mentioned earlier in the video, the really surprising thing about this kit is that that floor tom is a lot thicker than all of the other drums. It doesn't feel as if the kick drum is the same thickness as the floor tom. That does feel about the same thickness as the 12 and the 13-inch rack tom. So if you are familiar with the Ludwig kits that are coming from this era and know exactly why this is happening, because everything that I read, I'm pretty sure they said the kick drum and the floor tom were equal thickness, and then the rack toms were thinner. But if you know why this is happening, please feel free to leave that in the comment section below to let us all know. And it's safe to say that this kit is pretty close to being reassembled and brought back into the school. The only thing that is left is to clean up the hardware for the 16-inch floor tom, which is going to be the same process that I do for every other drum that you have seen so far with this restoration. So the final video of this series, part 3, is going to be when I am putting everything back together with brand new heads, so it is ready to be put back into the school. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see the first video from the restoration series, or maybe some other videos of drums that I've restored throughout the years, I've put a link to the restoration playlist in the description below. And to make it a bit easier for you, I'll have it pop up right here for you to check out. And if you have any questions on some of the techniques and procedures that I use to restore drums, feel free to leave that in the comment section as well, and I will try my best to answer them. Finally, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up. That way it makes it a little bit easier for others to find it. And that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this video on the Ludwig Classics Restoration Part 2. And until next time, see you later.